Alright guys, Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day. So far, OpTic Texas completed 2-0 weekends. Their first weekend's back with this brand new team with Huke and Skyz into the roster. Today though was particularly impressive. Game 5, round 11 yesterday against Rocker. Okay, that's neither here nor there, but today against Cloud9, a team that's been climbing up the standings rather rapidly as of late. This was an impressive dub. Cloud9, however, did look woeful on the other side of the server. So big storylines elsewhere on the day as well. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, we will begin with the Vegas Falcons, a team that I feel like the community is so split on because part of the community really wants to see them succeed, largely around Xnid, I would say. This guy's got the passion, he clearly loves the game, he's grinding all the time, and he's got the talent as well, and I'm so happy for him that he finally got a hardpoint win. He's now won Xnid in the Pro League, a hardpoint, a search and destroy, and a control. Actually multiple of all of those modes now, but unfortunately never in the same series. And that has held him back, and of course his previous team and the current team back, from actually winning series. There are some that think, oh, well, you know, Falcons shouldn't have made the moves that they did, of which I'm kind of in that camp as well. It's not like I don't want them to succeed. I would like to see them turn it around and get some wins on the board. I just felt like it was kind of doubtful, but I do feel like Xnid, it's crazy that Xnid was the man that needed help before, and it's still kind of almost the same story, but at least they're getting better, I guess. That's probably the takeaway from today. They won a hardpoint. They actually only got and done it. They won a hardpoint, game 1 against Miami. And Miami, I mean, were pretty woeful here. They played the Skyline, a map that Miami do like. And seemingly aBeZy loves this map as well because he had an absolute masterclass here on the game 1. I mean, look at this. Pops a little 3-piece, gets traded out for the 4-piece as well. And eventually Falcons win the game without too much difficulty. Priest popping a nice little 4-piece at the end. So look, Miami will be the team. I remember that I said it on the Dope Check show, what, 3-4 months ago. I was like, look, it was a big question at the start of the season. Would Falcons ever win a series? Now, of course, it doesn't really count nowadays because Priest popped an insane 4-piece for the dub, to be fair. Now, arguably, it doesn't count because they've changed their team now, which is true. Like, I think they'll win a series, at least with this team. But the team that I predicted Falcons to beat, back in, December, January, it was like, will they ever win a series? I thought that if there was any series they had a chance to win, it was against Miami, just because the nature of Miami as a team is that I think they can just get beat by everyone, but they can also beat pretty much everyone on their day. That's just Spanish COD, baby. But they win the game 1. I thought it was really nice to see Xnid having this little moment. Really, certainly Xnid was absolutely buzzing with the win. I mean, you can see how happy this guy was. I thought it was such a wholesome moment. I'd love to see what he does when they actually win a bloody series, and maybe that's going to happen at some point, but it was a nice moment for Xnid, and to be fair, it wasn't just the hardpoints that they were looking good. I mean, we went to a dealership, then it was a triple Hassy, and you're thinking, okay, here come Falcons, right? They're back, the curse has been broken, and, well, they lost 28 hardpoints in a row, previous team, new team. Now they've gone to 2 in 28. I'm hoping that if they win their next hardpoint, we get a tweet from Intel CDL that says, Vegas Falcons have now won 3 hardpoints in a row. We start building up the win streak, moving to 3 in 28 on the year. But, of course, maybe that's a long way ahead. This was a crazy clutch. I mean, Xnid here with the search and destroy on the dealership, absolutely slamming in the 1v2. He was genuinely doing it all, 11 in 6 at this point. Guns down Real off the car. But unfortunately for Falcons, they found a way to throw it away. And, I mean, this is a crucial round here, really. 1v2, Super in a 1v2. Of course, new player as well for the Heretics. Lucky's gone, Super is in. He gets the first kill. Difficult to trade it, really, from Xnid's point of view. And it's tough for Xnid, after doing such great work, to find himself in the 1v1 for the game. And it's Super who, makes the better play in the end and guns him down. I mean, it was a messy gunfight from both sides. The bodies get shot, only 9 HP. And, yeah, rough one to lose. Still think Xnid played it really well in general, the map. Look, Falcons in search, they are a bit lost, and a bit lost maybe is a bit of an understatement. The Hacienda was actually just pretty woeful to watch, I'm not gonna lie, because eventually it goes to a map 5 in this series. Heretics smash them in the control, but the Hacienda hardpoint was actually another Falcons win. Can you believe it? Falcons take it to a game 5. Honestly, great work from all involved. Priest are running a sub more. It seems to be something that is at least worth doing. Priest are on the SMG. No surprise, one of the best flex players of all time, if not at times I would say the most versatile player that we ever had in COD history was Priester at a point. That's probably changed tides today with a couple of difficult years, but still they take it to a game 5 with the HyDra game 5, right? I mean, every life, someone was hit at a flank. I mean, there was one round where TJHaLy went like all the way through, and by the time he got there was nobody left on the B bomb site. It wasn't great, to be honest, and their control is obviously a big question mark because that wasn't pretty either. Also, just historically, Clayster's teams, when he was playing it, were always terrible at control, to be honest. So I don't know if, like, you know, from a coaching perspective, I'm not sure Clayster's the perfect man to make them win that mode, let's say. Not saying they can't do it, but it's like, Clay's value is probably not in getting the best out of these boys in control. And it was a close fought series. In the end, not quite enough for the Falcons boys. As Pred says, GG's to the teams who played. Should have won the series today. I think for Falcons, there's not much pressure on. They're not making champs, right? Like, they don't have to worry about that too much. It's just about trying to improve and, you know, give the Saudi fans something to cheer about. And to be honest, the rest of us something to cheer about too, because I think Xnid, the way that he's playing, the way that he's trending, he should hopefully make himself a staple of the league. I think that would be a really nice thing to see. Now, look, to be fair, is he ever going to play for a different team than Falcons? I mean, maybe not, but possibly. If Falcons decide, you know what, we're going to get Simp, we're going to get aBeZy, right? Like, they're going to bring these guys in, then it's difficult to imagine that Xnid or any of the Saudi guys could ever really stay if that's where Falcons go in the next 12 months. At that point, I would love to see Xnid have built himself up to the point that he gets signed by some other team. I think that would be really cool, and I'm hoping that we can get there. As Clay says, proud of the team for reproducing the scrim results in the hardpoint search. Will take some time. We made it to a game 5, which was the first ever. So, yeah, as they say, practice in search is going to be critical for them. I think they can improve, but again, it's Miami, right? It's not exactly the greatest team, and they had a new guy as well. But Super is a top player, and, well, at least in my opinion, from the Spanish perspective, he's a top player in the Spanish scene. They should have probably put him in a while ago. He subbed in at one point a little while ago, but they never stuck with that. And, you know, here he is dropping a 1.35 for the dub. So I want to see Falcons play some more teams. Not the ideal outcome for them on the weekend, of course. And the next series was, well, fascinating, really, because we had the new Gentlemates roster. They've got FeLo in, they've got Johnny in. Johnny was pretty damn good this series. That should be no surprise. I rate this player. Is Gentlemates, you know, are they going to get much better with the situation? Probably not. And Ravens, I mean, online, it's funny because when this Ravens team is formed, you're like, damn, Slasher, TJ, these guys are going to be godlike on LAN. They're going to be way better on LAN. I think that is true, but we know that Gwinn is known as, and will continue to be known as for the foreseeable, an absolute demon from his bedroom, right? From an online comp perspective, Gwinn continues to fry. Now, I know that people say this narrative is overblown, and they made a big comeback on the game 1, and I get why people say that, right? I mean, myself, Trey, and I think McGregor as well, Lionman, we had a chat with Gwynn's family. They were in the front row of just the side in Dallas, and we had a quick chat with them, and they were kind of saying the same thing. It's like, yeah, Gwynn's unreal, and he's obviously, they recognise he's a great player, but they also, and Gwinn himself, wants to see a bit more from himself on LAN. But obviously, when you're crushing it online, eventually, you've got to think that they're going to figure it out at some point. And, you know, I had a quick chat with Gwinn about it as well, I think maybe on the Saturday or the Sunday, and he was like, he doesn't really feel like he's playing any different online to LAN, but, you know, regardless, the numbers speak for themselves. Now, the numbers aren't too bad. Like, his LAN KD is actually, like, it's a 1.02 or 1.03 or something like that. Maybe it got boosted a bit by the World Cup last year. The problem is that his teams are often getting bopped out early in tournaments, and it means that you're playing, you know, weak teams, right? Like, if your LAN KD is 1.02, but you're making it to grand finals, you're playing all the best teams, that's really good. But it's not, you know, it doesn't really apply the other way around. So that's kind of the nuance that is worth talking about here. But yeah, Gwinn, when he's playing from his bedroom, Scump reincarnated from the jetpack era, and Falcons, I call them Falcons because I've got a bird as their picture. Ravens, they go up 2-0, and then they get 3-0, absolute piss slammed in the control. So Gentlemate's still decent at that mode. I will say, though, I genuinely think that Los Angeles Guerrillas, as just a franchise name, might just be cursed, right? Like, Gentlemates, they've got a great fan base. Obviously, they've got rid of their French player. Linter's gone to the bench. It would be nice to imagine that they can have a better team that their fan base can support. But unfortunately, they're still not that good, and Slasher just, Unk still got it, or whatever people say. 37 in 21, absolute masterclass on the red card, and they take the series. So, yeah, tough one. I think if they were just called Gentlemates and they weren't called LA Gorillas Mate, then I think they'd be a better team, although that might be a pretty wild theory, and obviously Ravens did a tweet about it too. These were the overall numbers. Johnny with a 1.2, TJ with a 0.8, but it didn't really matter. Slasher with, probably the star performance of the day, apart from Gwinn, of course, on that game one, who was rather impressive as well, as we know. But the final series I wanted to discuss in this video, we're going to do Toronto versus Boston tomorrow morning, was OpTic, right? They played Cloud9, and this was a massive series, really, to tell what's currently going on, because Cloud9 have had a good trajectory as of late. They didn't make the run at the major they'd have wanted to, but they're still playing pretty well. They look like a scary team until kind of today, and it's a little bit tough to say whether that was due to OpTic or I think it was a bit of both, let's be real. OpTic played well, for sure, today. Cloud9 did not, for sure, as well. And game one was evident of that. I mean, OpTic went up 102-0 in a heartbeat. There were plenty of moments where Cloud9 was staggering. They'd send one guy in, the next guy would come in 2 seconds later and not get traded. The next guy would be there 5 seconds later and not get traded. And Dashy was just feasting on it, right? He was 17 and 5 at a time. And OpTic really never looked back from winning this map. I mean, it looked like they were going to win from the early days. Maybe Cloud9 had a bit of an opportunity at one point, but they didn't capitalize on it, and OpTic take, frankly, a dominant map 1 win. Huke, Skyz, Dashy, all of these guys were on fire. Shotzzy was basically just collecting the hill time, and OpTic crushed Cloud9 in the game 1. And to be honest, the story barely changed at all. The game continued on the protocol search and destroy, and OpTic very quickly advanced to a 4-0 lead. It was actually really impressive. This round especially was kind of one of those rounds that sums things up for OpTic with this Shotzzy-Huke duo, right? I mean, Dashy eventually goes down here, and it's a 2v3 for Shotzzy and Huke. They're in, good positions, right? It's difficult to win this round if you're Cloud9, but still, Huke gets one, Shotzzy gets the seconds, leaves Mack in a 1v2, Huke guns him down from range, nice little team play. It's like, that's the duo right there. And look, Huke Shotzzy might not be the best SMG duo that you could possibly form out there on the planet, but they know how each other play to such a great detail, and they're incredibly talented players that it will work on many an occasion, certainly online. I mean, there's no doubt that Huke Shotzzy is going to be deadly online. The question always is about LAN, and that's probably not going to go away until OpTic win another event, or win an event with this team or something. The same kind of story here. Shotzzy gets one, decides not to snake the guy, and then, Tatch finds himself in this spot, eventually gets gunned down by Dashy from the side, and that is GG for that round. To be fair to Cloud9, they brought it back. It eventually became 4-3, and it was looking a little bit dodgy. But Sib got absolutely ripped here by Dashy, and that was pretty much the end of the game. So a hot little 2-0 start. Speaking of getting ripped off headies, though, this was where I thought, okay, interesting. It's pretty rare in the last few years, really. I mean, apart from maybe last year, that OpTic will go up 2-0 in a series. Even when they were pretty good, they would often be a bit scrappy, especially against what should be a good team in Cloud9. So a 2-0 start was good. Was anyone that concerned about the reverse sweep? It was, of course, possible. And here was a 2 versus 3. Skyz, I mean, look, if he kills this guy, it's a 2v2. There's one more player, number 8, attached to his right-hand side. Number 5's about to get shut down in the middle of the map. But then he gets absolutely incinerated by Sib. I mean, yeah, he missed a couple of bullets here, but still, typical shots from Simp to win that gunfight. It's funny that Scump said, oh, it's a freebie, and then he got guns, and Dashy really has nothing he can do in the 1v2. So they lose this round, and it's like, oh, wow, OpTic, that was a round that OpTic will definitely feel like we should have won that one. Obviously a defense on Hacienda, you're expecting yourselves to win it. So that's what impressed me about OpTic. They bounced back, they won their next offense, they then won the defense, and then they went, to this situation where eventually they close out this round too. So despite that round that maybe they could have, should have, would have won, whatever, they still bounced back, and it's Shotzzy. This is a pretty crazy moment here where he switches just in time to the knife, stabs Sim in the front, and then proceeds to, I think he even got the final couple of kills in the round as well. So this was clean. I mean, this was super impressive. Shotzzy and Huke again with a masterpiece of a Hacienda control. I think the question really was what the hell happened to Cloud9 today, because OpTic played well, and they definitely deserve a lot of credit for the way they played. I was not expecting a 3-0 this series. I thought that it was probably a game 5er. I thought maybe Cloud9 could do it because OpTic's search and destroy looked a bit shaky, right? But no, Cloud9 were not at the races today. And the thing that kind of, well, surprised me and makes me a bit concerned for the C9 team is just a bit of the body language, right? I mean, they looked pretty shell-shocked after the series. Sib kind of couldn't believe that he'd had such a poor one, and in the end, Sib has, you know, a 0.7. You know, are we back in December, right? Like, you know, 0.7 Sib has returned. A crazy off series that you're not going to expect to really happen again, but Huke drops a 1.4, Dashy with a 1.3, basically. Shotzzy, Skyz is pretty much dead even. So, yeah, this is what we expected from this OpTic team pretty much all season long. Now they might finally be delivering that. Huke continues to be undeniable. I mean, you know, I understand why they dropped him and brought back Pred, sure. But the fact that Huke was still available to go and get when they needed him again is definitely good luck, or, you know, maybe they played it that way for OpTic to get him into that situation. And just before we close out the video, I wanted to just quickly mention, because yesterday I was talking about Rocker and the fact that their World Championship ambitions are certainly under threat, given that they lost to OpTic yesterday. They were at 90 points, they're 10th in the league. And of course, Miami got another, you know, points on the board today by beating the Falcons. But look, if anything's to go by over the last couple of days, Rocker game 5 round 11 with OpTic, Cloud9 3-0'd by OpTic. So, you know, maybe the questions for World Championship qualification, there was a feeling that Cloud9, they're on such a good run lately, they'll probably make it. But, you know, the evidence of today, if they play like that again, then, you know, Kenny and the boys over there will be licking their lips at the prospects. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.